It was 12:58 a.m. when the phone rang in the dispatch office. Even though all the lines were already in use, I remember the exact time because I'd just written it down in the logbook. We were required to timestamp every incoming and outgoing call, even the wrong numbers and prank calls. It was supposed to keep things organized. It was supposed to protect us if anything ever went wrong. I never thought I'd be using that rule to document something that shouldn't have been possible. I was working as a night dispatcher for a small private security company in northern Ohio. We handled alarms, patrol check-ins, and emergency calls for warehouses, storage facilities, and a handful of gated communities. It wasn't a 911 center. It was quieter, slower. Most nights, nothing happened at all. That shift, it was just me. The office was a narrow room with 3 desks, 2 inactive monitors, and 1 ancient coffee machine that never worked right. Outside the windows, the industrial park was dark and empty. No traffic, no lights, no movement. Just rows of silent warehouses under a clouded sky. I liked working nights because it was predictable. Answer calls, log incidents, check patrol GPS pings, drink coffee, repeat. At 12:58 a.m., the phone on desk 2 started ringing. That alone wasn't weird. What was weird was that desk 2's phone line wasn't active. We only used desk 1 at night. Desk 2 and desk 3 were backup lines that stayed unplugged unless we were understaffed or handling a surge of calls. I stared at it for a few seconds, waiting for it to stop. It didn't. The ringing was steady, loud, insistent. I stood up slowly and checked the cable. IT wasn't plugged in. I felt a tight, uncomfortable knot form in my stomach. I picked up the receiver. "Security dispatch," I said. "How can I help you?" There was a pause, then breathing. Not static, not background noise. Breathing, slow, shallow, uneven. "Hello?" I said. Another pause, then a voice. "Is it still my turn?" The voice sounded like a man in his 30s. Calm, controlled, not slurred, not panicked. "I'm sorry," I said. "I think you've got the wrong number." "No," the voice said. "This is the right place." My skin prickled. "Can I get your name and the address you're calling about?" I asked, following protocol. There was a soft sound on the other end, like paper being unfolded. "You already have it?" he said. I pulled the logbook closer. "Sir," I said, "if you need security assistance, I need a location." "You wrote it down," he said. I froze. "I didn't write anything down yet," I said. "Yes, you did," he said. "At 12:58. I looked at the logbook. There was a new line of text written in my handwriting. 12:58 a.m. Incoming call. Unknown male. Line 2. My pen was still in my hand. I didn't remember writing it. "Who is this?" I asked. There was another pause. Then he said, "You can see me." The office lights flickered. I turned slowly and looked at the window. There was someone standing outside, just beyond the glass. A man. He was wearing a dark jacket and jeans. He stood perfectly still, facing the building. I couldn't see his face clearly because of the reflection. "You're outside?" I whispered. "Yes," he said. I backed away from the window. "You need to leave," I said. "This is private property." "I'm not done yet," he said. "It's still my turn." The phone line went dead. The man outside didn't move. I grabbed my radio and called one of our patrol units. No answer. I tried another unit. No answer. Every GPS tracker on my screen showed all units stationary, parked, not moving. "Dispatch to all units," I said into the radio. "Check in." Silence. The man outside raised his hand. He knocked once on the glass. Not hard, just enough to make a dull, hollow sound. The phone on desk 2 started ringing again. I didn't answer it. The phone on desk 3 started ringing too. Neither one was plugged in. I backed into my chair and sat down hard. The ringing stopped. All at once, my computer screen flickered. A new incident report window opened on its own. The text cursor blinked. Then letters appeared. Subject ready for handoff. Me fingers felt numb. No, I said. I'm not doing this. The phone on desk 1 rang. The only real phone line. I picked it up without thinking. Security dispatch, I said. You're late, the voice said. I'm not part of this, I said. You need to leave. He sighed softly. Everyone says that, he said. That's not how it works. The office lights went out. Not a power outage, just darkness. My monitors stayed on. The glow from the screens was the only light left. The man outside was gone. I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, measured, coming toward the dispatch office door. You can still stop this, the voice said. Just don't open it. The door handle turned. Once, twice. Then it stopped. The incident report updated. Subject at Dory stood up and backed into the far wall. I'm calling the police, I said. You already did, he said. They won't get here in time. The handle turned again. The door creaked open. The hallway outside was empty. The footsteps continued, inside the room, behind me. You didn't answer the first call, the voice said. That's how you lose your turn. I spun around and no one was there. The monitors went black. The phones went silent. The office lights snapped back on. Everything was normal. My radio crackled. Dispatch, you okay? A patrol officer said. We lost your signal for a minute. I sank into my chair. I'm fine, I said. Just a glitch. The logbook was open. There was a new line written in my handwriting. 12:59 a.m. Transfer complete. I quit that job 2 days later. I still don't answer unknown numbers. Because sometimes at exactly 12:58 a.m., my phone rings. No caller ID. And when I don't pick up, I hear breathing anyway. It was 1:38 a.m. when I realized the reflection in the glass door was moving, and I wasn't. I was standing in the lobby of a closed municipal building, holding a mop bucket in one hand and my phone in the other, rereading a text from my supervisor that made no sense. The building was supposed to be empty, locked down, alarmed. I was the only one scheduled inside until morning. But the reflection behind me took a step forward. I didn't turn around right away. I told myself it was fatigue. I'd been working overnights for 6 months straight, 5 nights a week, cleaning government buildings after hours, city hall, libraries, courthouses, places that were too busy during the day to shut down for deep cleaning. It was boring work, but it paid better than retail and came with a set routine. Clock in at midnight. Disarm the alarm. Clean floor by floor. Lock up at 6. Go home. Predictable. Safe. That night started the same way every other one did. I clocked in at 12:01 a.m. at City Services Building C, a 4-story concrete structure that housed zoning offices, record storage, and a small municipal court on the top floor. The place was old, built in the 1970s. No fancy security, just a basic alarm system and a handful of cameras monitored by a third-party company that never answered their phone at night. The lobby smelled like lemon disinfectant and stale paper. The fluorescent lights hummed softly. My footsteps echoed too loud on the tile. I disarmed the alarm, logged my entry time in the clipboard at the front desk, and started my usual route. Basement first, storage rooms, then the first floor offices, then up. Nothing happened for the first hour. Just empty rooms, dust, and the sound of my own breathing. At 1:21 a.m., I got a text from my supervisor. You still at Building C? That was weird. He never texted during shifts unless something was wrong. Yeah, why? I typed back. Point three dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Don't leave yet. I might need you to check something. I frowned at my phone. Check what? No reply. That was when I noticed the reflection in the glass door behind me. I was in the lobby again, refilling my mop bucket at the utility sink. The front entrance doors were floor-to-ceiling glass. Normally, all I saw in them was my own tired face and the empty street outside. But now, in the reflection, there was someone else, standing behind me, just out of focus. I stayed perfectly still. The reflection took a step forward. My stomach dropped. I turned around. The lobby was empty. The doors were still locked. No one there. I told myself it was just the angle of the lights, or my own reflection lagging because my brain was tired. I picked up the bucket and went back to work. At 1:44 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Did you hear it yet? My fingers felt cold. Hear what? A full minute passed before the reply came. Never mind. Keep going. I didn't like that. I didn't like any of it. I decided to finish the first floor and then take an early break in my car. Just get some air. Reset my head. At 2:02 a.m., I heard a door close somewhere above me. Not a slam, just a soft, careful click. I froze in the middle of the hallway. The second floor. That was where the zoning office was. No one should have been up there. I stood there listening. Nothing else happened. I told myself it was the building settling. Old buildings made noise all the time. I pushed my cart to the stairwell and started up the steps. Each step creaked under my weight. The second floor hallway lights were off, but the motion sensors turned them on as I stepped out. The hallway was empty. Every office door was closed. Every window was dark. I walked the length of the hall. Nothing. I checked the restrooms. Empty. The break room. Empty. I told myself I was being paranoid. At 2:19 a.m., my phone buzzed again. It's closer now. I stared at the message. What is? I typed no reply. I tried calling my supervisor. Straight to voicemail. That was when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, soft, careful. Not echoing the way mine did. I stopped. The footsteps stopped. I turned around. The hallway was empty. My heart was hammering in my chest. This isn't funny, I said out loud. Even though no one was there, I walked faster. 2:31 a.m., I reached the third floor. That floor housed record storage and a few unused offices. It always felt wrong up there. Too quiet, too still. Rows of filing cabinets stretching into shadow. I started cleaning, trying to ignore the feeling that I was being watched. 2:47 a.m. One of the filing cabinets slid open by itself. Just an inch, then 2 inches, then stopped. I stood there, staring at it. The air felt thick, heavy, like a storm was about to break. I took a step back. The cabinet slammed shut. I dropped my mop. I ran to the stairwell. I didn't stop until I reached the lobby. I locked myself in the janitor's closet and sat on the floor, shaking. My phone buzzed. You weren't supposed to run. Tears blurred my vision. What is happening? I typed. It's your turn now. I heard footsteps outside the closet. Slow, measured, back and forth, like someone pacing. I held my breath. The handle rattled once, twice, then stopped. My phone buzzed again. Open the door. I didn't move. I didn't answer. The footsteps faded. I stayed in that closet for over an hour. 4:03 a.m. My phone rang. It was my supervisor. I answered immediately. Get me out of here, I said. Please. What are you talking about? He asked. I thought you quit last week. My stomach dropped. I was just texting you, I said. You told me not to leave. I haven't texted you since Friday, he said. And you were never scheduled tonight. My phone buzzed again. A new message. He's lying. I hung up. I unlocked the closet door and stepped into the lobby. Everything looked normal. Quiet. Empty. The front doors were unlocked. They shouldn't have been. I ran to my car and drove away. I never went back to that job. A week later, I checked my phone records. The texts from my supervisor didn't have a number attached to them, just a blank field. Every night at 1:38 a.m., my phone lights up, no sound, no vibration, just the screen turning on, and for a split second, I see my own reflection in it, standing behind me. It was 2:03 a.m. when the dispatcher asked me why I was still parked at mile marker 114, even though I was already 70 miles past it. I stared at the glowing GPS screen mounted on my dashboard, watching my location pin blink calmly on a stretch of highway I knew I'd left behind over an hour earlier. "That's not possible," I said into the radio. "I passed 114 at least 90 minutes ago." There was a pause on the line. Then the dispatcher said, "Then why does your truck say you're still there?" I worked nights as a long-haul delivery driver for a medical supply company. We ran critical shipments between hospitals across 3 states. Temperature-sensitive stuff, blood storage units, dialysis equipment, things that couldn't be delayed. My route that night was routine. Tucson to Flagstaff. I'd done it dozens of times. 6.5 hours if traffic was light. The desert highway between them was empty at night, just long black stretches of asphalt, low mountains on the horizon, and the occasional gas station glowing like an island in the dark. That I left Tucson at 8:47 p.m. Everything was normal for the first 3 hours. The radio played quietly. The engine hummed steady. The road was clear. At 11:58 p.m. I passed mile marker 114. I remembered it because I always checked my fuel gauge there. Habit. It was the point where I decided whether to stop at the next station or push on. I didn't stop. I kept driving to at 1:41 a.m. I passed mile marker 167. I remembered that too, because my phone buzzed at the exact moment. A text from my wife asking if I'd made it to Flagstaff yet. I replied, "Almost there." 2:03 a.m. Dispatch called. "Why are you still parked at mile marker 114? The dispatcher asked. I laughed, thinking she was joking. "I'm not," I said. "I passed 167 like 20 minutes ago." "That's not what your tracker says," she replied. "It hasn't moved from 114 since 11:59 p.m. I slowed down and pulled onto the shoulder. The desert around me was silent. No headlights, no wind, no insects, just my engine idling and my own breathing. I looked at my dashboard clock. 2:04 a.m. I looked at the GPS. It showed my truck icon blinking directly over mile marker 114. The same marker I'd passed almost 2 hours earlier. "That's a glitch," I said. "I'm at least 70 miles past that. Your speed log shows 0 miles per hour for the last 2 hours, she said. "That's impossible." There was another pause. Then she said, "Can you describe what you see around you?" I looked out at the desert. The road ahead of me curved slightly to the right. A low ridge line sat in the distance. A green reflective sign about half a mile ahead pointed to a rest stop exit. I read it aloud. She went quiet. "That sign is at mile marker 114, she said. My stomach dropped. I put the truck back in gear and drove forward. The sign grew closer. My headlights washed over it. "Rest area, 1/2 mile." The exact same sign I remembered passing 2 hours ago. I slowed down. "No," I whispered. I kept driving. The rest area exit appeared. Same layout, same cracked pavement, same single streetlight flickering at the entrance. I didn't take it. I kept going. At 2:17 a.m. I passed mile marker 114 again. The exact same post. Same dent in the metal. Same bullet hole in the reflective strip. My radio crackled. "You just passed it again," the dispatcher said. I was shaking. "What's happening?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "But you need to pull over." I did. I shut off the engine. The desert went completely silent. Too silent. No wind. No insects. No distant traffic. Even my ears felt like they were ringing. I got out of the truck. The air felt thick, heavy. Like walking into a room where the pressure was wrong. I stood on the shoulder and looked back down the road. The highway behind me stretched into darkness. The same darkness I'd been driving through all night. I walked a few steps away from the truck. My boots sounded too loud. I turned around. My truck was still idling, even though I'd shut it off. The headlights flicked off, then back on. The radio crackled from inside the cab. "You shouldn't leave it," a voice said. Not dispatch. Not static. It sounded like me. I ran back to the driver's door and climbed in. The engine was off now. The radio was still on. "Get back on the road," the voice said. "No," I said out loud. "I'm calling this in." I grabbed my phone. No signal. Not even emergency. The GPS screen flickered. My location pin disappeared. Then reappeared. At mile marker 114 again. My radio crackled. "You already tried stopping," the voice said. "That didn't work." I put the truck back in gear and drove. At 2:41 a.m. I passed mile marker 114 again. This time, something was different. There was a car parked on the shoulder just beyond it. Hazard lights blinking. A dark sedan. I slowed down. Dispatch came back on the line. "Do not stop," she said. "That car wasn't there before." I ignored her. I don't know why. I pulled over behind the sedan. The hazard lights stopped blinking. The car went dark. I got out of my truck. The desert felt colder now. The air smelled wrong, metallic, like burned wires. I walked up to the sedan and tapped on the window. No response. I opened the driver's door. The seat was empty. The engine was cold. The dashboard clock read 11:58 p.m., the exact minute I'd first passed mile marker 114. My radio crackled. "You're late," the voice said. I ran back to my truck. The road ahead of me was gone. Not dark, gone. Just empty black space where the highway should have been. The road behind me was still there. I turned around and drove back the way I'd come. At 3:02 a.m. I passed mile marker 114 again. This time, there were two sedans on the shoulder. At 3:23 a.m. There were three, each one identical. Each one dark. Each one with its clock frozen at 11:58 p.m. At 3:41 a.m. My dispatcher's voice came back. "Your shift ended at midnight," she said. "Why are you still driving?" "I'm stuck," I said. "I can't get out." There was a long pause. Then she said, "You're not in our system anymore." "What does that mean?" "It means your truck isn't transmitting. Your badge ID isn't logged. Your route file is gone." My radio crackled again. The other voice, "Because you never left," it said. At 4:06 a.m., I passed mile marker 114 again. This time, there was a man standing beside it. He was facing away from me. Wearing my uniform, my name patched on my jacket, I slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded to a stop. The man turned around. It was me. Same face, same tired eyes, same scar on my chin. He raised his hand and pointed down the road. "You missed your exit," he said. My radio crackled. "Shift change," the other voice said. The GPS screen went black. The headlights died. The engine stalled. The desert went silent. I woke up at 7:19 a.m. in my parked truck. The sun was up. Traffic was passing by. I was parked on the shoulder at mile marker 114. My engine was cold. My phone had full signal. I checked my call log. There was a 2-hour call recorded with dispatch. Dispatch said they never called me. The delivery was marked as missed. My badge ID was flagged as inactive for 3 hours. I quit driving that week. I don't take highways at night anymore. Because sometimes when I'm alone in my car and the radio is off, I hear my own voice asking me why I'm still parked at mile marker 114.